obviously I dropped out of sport completely because I didn't think I was going to be good enough. It didn't start with me doing a park run and being like, right, I'm going to the Olympics. Like, that would have seemed absolutely bonkers.
5K in 60 minutes?
Yeah.
I want to be you when I grow up.
I think it's something like 1 million girls in the UK drop out of sport every year. We just need to make sure that those girls don't drop out because they could be future Olympians one day. I will do Christmas Day park run.
Oh, Georgia, you're putting us all to shame. Hello and welcome back to The Kickback. My name's Shebahn Aherne. I'm flying solo today like Santa. Coming up for you on the show, we've got Team GB's Georgia Bell. She shares the inspirational story of her journey from quitting athletics to becoming the British 1500 metre record holder. Plus, she talks about highlighting high female dropout rates within sport and using her comeback story to become a champion for keeping women in the sports they love. Georgia, I'm obsessed. I've told you already. I'm like getting the high security and the restraining order because you're amazing. You've stolen the hearts of so many this year.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been such a crazy year and everyone's just been so nice and supportive. So I'm very grateful. So thank you.
No. When we had the opportunity to speak to you, I was like, well, she's somebody who, when we went into Paris, maybe weren't, focusing completely on, and your story's just excellent, for anybody who hasn't been aware of the Georgia Bell story. You were in athletics when you were young, and then you went and started the real world of work. Is that what you would say it as? And
yeah,
the rest is history.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of a good junior, was doing well at sports day and then got into athletics to a relatively high level, was winning kind of like national championships, and then went over to the US on a track scholarship. And while I was out there, I had an amazing experience, but ultimately never ran faster than I did in the UK. So when I graduated, it was kind of like, oh, what happens now? I've got to be a grown-up and join the real world. So I stopped running totally, got a corporate job, and only through COVID did I get back into running competitively, and then made it to the Olympics this summer and got a bronze medal.
Amazing. I mean, getting back into running then during COVID time, everybody getting back out and trying to hit the pavements and give themselves some breathing space where it was needed. A park run for you might have been a bit different for a park run for me. You must have realised I've still got this.
Yeah, I think so. So as you say, all you could do was really get out for exercising. And so I just really looked forward to that time in the day where I could go for a run. That kind of escalated to, I wonder how fast I could run a 5K. And I entered a park run and ran a kind of speedy time, just over 16 minutes. And so that's
5K in 60 minutes?
Yeah. And so that's kind of what led me to reach back out to my old coach, who is still my coach today. He trains me and other Olympians like Keely Hodgkinson. And that just kind of set off a new training plan for me that got us here.
Yeah, I was just speaking to one of your managers and going through Instagram, the pictures of you and Keely Hodgkinson in South Africa at training camps. It's it's such an advert. You both look absolutely incredible, strong, powerful women who have just bossed Paris, out training in the sunshine. I'm like, I kind of want to be them. I want to be you when I grow up.
That's nice to hear. I will say it looks, it might look really nice, like the sun when you're back here at home in the cold. It is hard work. We are pushing ourselves really hard. There's sessions where we're just almost delirious because we're really just putting ourselves in that much pain. But, we have a coach who knows what he's doing, and it is so much fun. I feel really lucky that I'm just able to do it as my job because I, only have got to do it since Paris. So I know what it's like to do the hustle of working full time and trying to train around it. So, yeah.
And your job is pretty interesting too. Cybersecurity?
Yeah.
What you did before going back to running full time?
Yeah, I worked in cybersecurity software, so tech sales for 7 years. So just when I graduated from university out in the US, first job I went into, continued to do it. And it is a really interesting industry, a very interesting job. Obviously, the world is changing. So it was interesting to throw yourself into kind of a brand new challenge. But I always thought I would be a runner. So I also had a little bit of, an identity crisis, I guess you can say, of just thinking I am one day going to make it to the Olympics and be a professional athlete, and then kind of getting to 23 and realizing that that just wasn't going to happen anymore, and having to accept that and go into kind of corporate life was really tough.
Yeah.
But I got there in the end.
So what was the moment, Georgia, where you thought, well, actually, like you say, the park run, what you entered, but where you thought, I actually might try this again full time? And who was encouraging you on that journey?
I was lucky that I had just really supportive friends, family, husband now, that it didn't start with me doing a park run and being like, right, I'm going to the Olympics. Like, that would have seemed absolutely bonkers at the time if I'd thought that. It was all just kind of gradual steps. It was like, okay, you've done a good park run. Maybe it would be good to follow a plan, like go back to your old coach. It's like, okay, that's going well. Maybe we can enter some track races again. It's like, okay, well, why don't we see if we can get you an agent? And it was all kind of small compounding events that then led me to be in the shape of my life before Paris, and actually go in and think, you know, this could actually happen. Like, you could actually get a medal.
Crazy. And you went to your bosses then at work and said what?
Yeah, so I was working full time until May this year, but I went up to them.
Is that May?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's such a tight turnaround then to the bronze at Paris.
Yeah, it is a tight turnaround. Like, I was doing all of the training before. I was just doing it at all hours of the day, like early mornings, late nights. But I was able to slam my laptop shut from May the 1st, and that's what allowed me to kind of rest, get nutrition, go to the gym, all of the stuff you need to do as a full-time athlete. But back in March, I went to my boss and just said, I think that I could potentially make it to the Olympics, but we won't know until right before. I really could do with the work-supported leave just to like give myself a shot. So that the idea was, if I didn't make it, I could always look back and be like, you know, I really tried, but I knew I'd always regret it if I just didn't give it one shot of going all in, because the Olympics only comes around every 4 years. You know, you've got to seize those moments.
And you blooming did, Georgia. Like, I followed every single hour of the coverage from Paris, and as I said to you earlier, you were one of my standout, you know, people who really shone through as an athlete.
Thank you.
How do you, as an athlete, not mess up that moment, with nerves or media around you, or the circus that can come along with that? Like, hold your focus to get a PB and a bronze on that day? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, it takes practice, like the mental side as well, to not let the moment get the better of you. And I think for me, I've had times where I've had serious self-doubts. Obviously, I dropped out of sport completely because I didn't think I was going to be good enough. So that was when my self-confidence was, you know, at a complete low. But over the years, and taking time away from the sport has allowed me to come back in and be like, seize the moment. You know, you've done all of the training, like, you really believe in yourself. You have people that believe in you. And it takes an Olympic final and a huge moment like that to have the race of your life. You know, if I went down to an empty stadium and tried to run that same time, no doubt I wouldn't be able to do that. But when you have 80,000 fans cheering you on, all the support at home, you get super patriotic in the Olympics. I was watching everyone on Team GB do well. Like, I really wanted to make my contribution as well to the team. And you just kind of have to use that energy to push you forward rather than letting it overwhelm you.
Can you explain that moment of walking out to the track for the finals? Because I'm like literally like a kid, you know, trying to dream that moment kind of thing, when you walk out and everyone's like cheering and it's like Georgia Bell, Team GB, and
it is.
How'd you behave?
It is a crazy feeling. I really like it. I just think it's really one of the few bits in life where you can really feel so in the moment and present. Like, you're not distracted by any phones, screens, conversations. It's actually just zoned in. All of the other athletes that you're lining up with, you can feel like the nerves, but also the adrenaline. Everyone's excited to race. And it comes around every 4 years and you've got this huge moment. It's taken so much to get there. There's so much behind the scenes beyond just the training. You've got to go through so many rounds of qualifying to even make it to the Olympic final. And so I think it is just walking out into the stadium. You stand there and you can't see the crowd yet, but you can hear them.
Yeah, I bet, like all the way through.
Yeah.
And even then, that's the stadium there. Spectators all around the world, you know, willing you on, you know, that moment. And then, you know, you cross the finish line, you get the GB flag and you're celebrating with your friends and family. It's really amazing to watch at home. And I think maybe you'll know how you've affected others, but the actual impact that has on youngsters to go, I want to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. I hope that is the case because, you know, I remember watching Dame Kelly Holmes when I was a kid and watching her win the double at the Olympics in the 800 metres and the 1500 and thinking just like, wow. And that's a moment that really stands out in my mind. And so, yeah, hopefully others can kind of watch us coming through. And we do have a really amazing crop of athletes coming through in Great Britain. Like there's so many good youngsters coming through and that's really exciting.
Yeah. What's it like being pals with Keely? Because she was another person who just like, she stole the show.
Yeah.
Up for Sports Personality of the Year.
Yes.
As well, which I think by the time we hear this, she might actually have already won. I think she's a favourite.
Hopefully she does win, you know, fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, she's so inspiring. She's so hardworking. Like we're teammates. We go through the trenches together, the struggles with training. So I know and see how much it takes to get to that point. And she just handled herself so well in Paris. She had the expectation on her, and talk about the difference that we had. I had the ability and the luxury of being an underdog, so I didn't have any pressure on me, and that was a really nice position to be in because you can just go for it. Whereas when you have all of the expectation on you, you know, it's a privilege in some way, but it's a lot to stand up to, you know, delivering on how you think you do, but also how everyone expects you to do. So she did so well.
She really did. I mean, it was outstanding. She won it, you know, completely well. Can I ask you, just when you mentioned about doubting yourself in the past, what were the steps you took to get that self-confidence and go again?
It wasn't, you know, an overnight thing at all. It started with going back to the basics when I started running again, doing it for the enjoyment because I looked forward to it, because I like running, and then building up from there, having friends and family and parents and stuff saying, oh yeah, you should enter that race, that you could do that, and getting that kind of support structure around you, putting in the work to know I've done everything that I need to do to be here and have a good race. And then it's just on race day, allowing yourself to rise to the moment and not let the moment get the better of you. It's something that you have to hone in. So it's taken a while. But yeah, I think just got to go through all those steps to stand on the start line, really believing that you can do it.
And I take it this is the plan, like you're a full-time athlete again. You've got Glasgow, the Commonwealth. When is that next?
2026.
2026. Yeah. And then is there a plan for another Olympics as well?
Yes, that's the plan. Yes. So I'll be aiming, or I am aiming for LA in 4 years, which sounds like a long time, but it'll come around really quickly. It's already 3.5 now. So we've got big championships every year. We've got Worlds in Tokyo next year. And basically any time that there is a championship and an option to win a medal, you know, that's what I want to try and do. Coming back to it a second time, I feel really lucky, but also that I'm going to seize every opportunity that I have.
Do you like visualize? Do you do the whole visualization? See myself there?
Yeah.
Do you do that?
I do. I think it really helps. It can be funny. Like sometimes I'll just be on an easy run and I can like visualize a moment like being in a final, or, you know, what I want to happen and how I see myself running it. And sometimes I'll just really try and think about it in the run up to the race and jot down some thoughts. But I think it does help. Like the mental skill is as much a skill as the physical skill. And when you're on the start line, everyone's physically so good. I really think the differences, and it comes down to points of a second of who gets a medal and not. I really think that is the mental resilience, and just I'm getting to that start line or finish line first no matter what the situation is today.
Amazing. Yeah. And what about life after Paris? I mean, you mentioned this earlier on, you got married, so you didn't have time to like sit and like eat pizza all day and go out on the lash, no?
Yeah, so I actually continued racing for a bit after Paris. So I had about 5 races, so I let myself...
No rest for the wicked.
Yeah. That week afterwards, you know, it was all about seeing friends and family and getting to celebrate that moment with them, because it does really take a village. But then it was back into racing. And yeah, lots of athletes have the kind of post-Olympic dip. It's a very real thing because it's all these high emotions and then you come down. But I went straight into planning a wedding. So I had to turn around a wedding in about 3 months. So that kept me occupied. So it was a busy summer.
Lovely though that you're married and your husband's supporting you in this journey as well.
Yeah, he's been amazing. He was out in Paris and was there for, all the late nights and early mornings when we were trying to juggle both with the full-time job. So yeah, I couldn't do it without him.
Oh, brilliant. I'm really happy for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Part of when you take part of Olympics is the surge in the sports afterwards, but this is something you're passionate about, is making sure that youngsters don't drop away from the sports that they were interested in, something that you had done yourself.
Exactly. I feel like that resonates with me because I've been there, I've been that statistic. I think it's something like 1 million girls in the UK drop out of sport every year. Wow. And it's kind of going into those kind of teenage and early 20 years, like they might have been sporty at school, but it's as they grow up that they're more likely to drop out. And I get it, like I've been there. And so I just think being able to come back to the sport, even if you don't end up getting an Olympic medal, what it's done for me and my life and my happiness has been so huge that I just really want to see how we can try and keep those girls in sport and explore that so that they feel safe and happy and confident, because it really can affect so many parts of your life.
Like say it's 43%, that's a huge number.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think it might be?
I think there's so many reasons. I mean, for me, it was kind of self-confidence and injuries that led to dropping out, but it can be everything from safety, like that's the number one thing. You've got to feel safe where you train. And perhaps women don't feel that for so many reasons, that they don't want to get out for a run at night. Like, makes sense. How can we make it safer for them? Or your body changes a lot as you're a girl and you go through puberty in those teenage years. Do you still feel confident enough to exercise? Is there a reason that you might feel less confident when you go to the gym than, say, men, for example? So it can be really complex, but I think there are hopefully things that are making it easier with run clubs, with getting down to exercise with friends that hopefully can tackle some of those. But yeah, we just need to make sure that those girls don't drop out, because they could be future Olympians one day.
Absolutely. There was an awful story out in America recently about a young girl who went for a run on our campus, and what happened to her is just absolutely terrible. And I think it's something we don't think of when games and championships come around, about all of those anxieties that might come along with training hard, because you are up at 5 in the morning.
Exactly.
Out doing these runs, sometimes 4 in the morning. There's a huge safety risk there, and that's something probably I've been just stupid not to think about, really.
Yeah, and I think that is the case. It doesn't matter if you're an Olympian or just someone wanting to go for a run in the evenings to blow off steam. Like, everyone needs to feel safe when they get out and do that. And unfortunately for women, we are just more vulnerable when we do that, especially when it gets to winter and nighttime. And so it is all about, how can we make safe exercising environments? That is the first thing that needs to be set up. And as long as you have that consistency, then people are more likely to show up. And then it's the compounding sessions, runs, training groups that lead to being in a position to be able to go to the Olympics one day.
Have you ever had that, Georgia, where you've been training or you've been putting yourself through your paces and you felt in a situation where you felt, I'm not comfortable with this?
Yeah, I've had various situations happen to me. I've been out on a run where I've been kind of flashed before, and it's really scary. But I know, sadly, so many other women, both professional athletes and also just women going out for a run in the evenings, where they've had close calls or situations, and unsurprisingly, that makes them not want to leave their house and go for a run. So it is something that is a huge issue. It is something that we need to, make sure that women feel safe when they exercise.
Well, I'm glad we're having this chat, because it isn't something I've thought about before. And I actually even see you scrolling through TikTok or whatever. I think now, like, youngsters are so into their training. They're different from, like, when I was, say, 16, you were learning how to drink 2 WKD without getting caught by your mum. And, now it's like they get into the gym at an early age. But confidence is such a key part of that. And, you do sometimes see it in the gym. You see it's quite a male-dominated environment. I don't know how we change that, because some of these men, they mean no harm by just being there working out, but you do feel a little bit intimidated.
Yeah,
sometimes.
totally. I think there's lots of things that can happen. I mean, I'm a Nike athlete, and Nike put on an event a couple of months ago where it was just a female-only event. And I think that's great for that safety element, but also just for kind of women bringing each other up, and that brings you a new kind of confidence to go and exercise together. I'm also lucky in my training group to have a female coach as part of the coaching staff. So I have Trev and Jen.
Are they married?
They are married.
Love that.
Yeah. So it's a real family feel. Like Trev's the man with the plan, and then Jen was an athlete herself, so she's kind of a mentor. But having that kind of female figure that you can look up to is so huge. So getting more kind of females into coaching, I think, would have a huge impact as well, because right now it is male dominated, and it's all about building that confidence.
It's the thing. Then you do so well at Paris, and with that then comes like lots of other responsibility because you've done it and you're achieving great things. It's then like, well, with that, we're going to ask Georgia up front on this and have an opinion on that. And it's like, it's a lot sometimes, but you're doing the right thing for the right cause for so many other people. Yeah,
it is a lot. And I think the main thing is that you just want to make sure that girls are out there exercising, staying in sport, staying healthy, staying happy. I know the impact it's had on me. I know when I've been at my kind of lows, the impact that had on me in terms of I was in worse relationships, I was doing worse at my job. Like when your confidence is low, it can have so many bigger impacts. Whereas I think about the times where I'm doing well at running, even as a kid, like the impact that had on me was so huge, and I just think it can have a real knock-on effect in a positive way.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so many girls out there that are good at sport, and I just think we need to keep it that way.
Absolutely. And that's the thing when we discuss athletics as well. Sometimes there's been a lot of cuts, and there's not a lot of investment that goes into that. Do you feel Paris has helped that more? Have you seen a change there? Again, it only comes around once every 4 years, but there's always that influx.
Yeah, I feel like lots of people are motivated after an Olympics to get out there, which is great. It's all about keeping that going, it's like a New Year's resolution. How do you keep that going throughout the whole year, not just the immediate impact? I think there's lots of exciting things that are happening in track and field particularly as well that are making it a really great time to be an athlete or be an aspiring athlete. So Grand Slam track with Michael Johnson is coming out next year. It's going to replicate what's going on in tennis, but Serena Williams and her husband also set up an event last year called Athos, which was females only, a female-only track event. So there's all these exciting things that are coming apart from just the staples, and that's just giving more opportunities to young athletes, but particularly women. So it's a good time to be an athlete.
It is. And for anybody who's thinking, this is the job I want, like this is what I want to do, what's a day like when you're in training? Like what's the vibe?
It's tough. It's not kind of coming easy to us all the time. There is a lot of work that goes into it, but we'll train on average 3 times a day. That will be a mixture of run.
3 times a day?
Yeah, and then on top of that, so that could be a session on the track, and then a bike session, and also something in the gym, so building strength in the gym. And then on top of that, you're doing kind of physio. You are also doing a lot of naps, I won't lie. We need a lot of
That's
sleep
where you had me.
Yeah. Sleep a lot. I've been really shocked, actually, from going to professional athletes since May, how much I'm sleeping. And that is really allowing me to recover and my body to recover from these sessions. Whereas before I was up at 5, 6 a.m. doing sessions and going to bed super late, I was just never able to recover, whereas now I'm able to absorb all of that training and just seen a real difference. So yeah, they're interesting days, but it's, for me, I just feel like I feel so lucky now, having done the corporate thing, to be able to do my passion for my job. So
full time. No, it's great. The recovery is something that's so focused on now that I still feel in say mainstream media we don't focus on recovery as much.
Yeah, exactly.
And how sleep is everything. Do you have a Whoop? Do you have one of those Whoop things?
I have a Garmin.
A Garmin, right?
So yeah, it tracks my sleep. Yeah, so I can see, and I'm providing I'm not being kept up for something, I can sleep straight through 10 hours
Oh my God.
and a nap every day.
You're like a 6-year-old.
Exactly. Like my body is literally like, you need to rest. It's really interesting. Whereas before I was just kind of running on fumes, trying to get everything done, and obviously not having the recovery that I needed.
And now look, since you've followed this plan,
Yeah.
you've got bronze, baby.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
If you are watching, nap more often. Thank us later. No, I say this all the time. Like, my sister's a professional footballer, and she's like, you're never going to be able to hit peak unless you're getting the rest and recovery. And I was watching the Starting Five on Netflix.
Yeah, LeBron
James.
Yeah.
He could sleep in that floor. He's like a cat.
You honestly can. It's like a skill that you develop. Like, you need to recover. You've got an hour. Like, get your head down 45 minutes. I napped for 20 minutes before coming here today.
And you can just like what's the tip for just like falling asleep? Or is
Well, we're just so tired, honestly. Like, you're pushing yourself in training. It's like, it's easy to nod off. But yeah, it's a funny part of being a professional athlete. But yeah, every professional athlete at the top, they'll prioritize recovery for sure.
Brilliant. And then nutrition is the other thing we're now hammering. Rest and recovery and nutrition. Like, do you have someone helping you with that?
Yes. Yeah, so nutrition, obviously so important, can't push your body, but then also not getting the nutrition that you need. So yeah, I see a nutritionist just to make sure that I'm getting in the right amount at the right time. So always making sure I'm exercising when I've put the right fuel into my body first. And then also that window when you get in from exercise, make sure you get something in quickly before you sit down for dinner, because before you realise it might be an hour since you finished exercising and your body's really hungry at that point. So my go-to at the moment is chocolate milk, like chocolate milkshakes as soon as I'm in from a hard session, getting the right carbs and protein in, and then a proper sit-down meal. So I have someone helping me through that as well, because yeah, it's so huge to make sure that you don't get injured, which again is the whole reason that I dropped out. I was just kind of really disillusioned with injuries and confidence. And so all these things that you can do on the day-to-day to avoid those situations, more likely to keep you in the sport and exercising.
Can I ask you a personal question? Kind of like on the subject of being a woman, menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
Does it affect you, and can you now work through that?
It definitely affects me. So I feel on the first day of my menstrual cycle and the day before, that's when I feel the most sluggish. I'm really open with my coaches about it. Like, I'll say, got my period today, you know, not feeling 100%, we'll adjust the session slightly. So we've got that really open communication, which really helps. It is tough. It can be tough because you get that every month, hopefully, if you have a healthy cycle. And, you know, you're going to have big races. So you could have the Olympic final. I had it at Olympic trials this year, which is, you know, a huge, huge race.
Screw you, Mother Nature, sometimes.
But it is just something that you have to get used to, develop, learn how to train with, work with. But I think, you know, as much open communication with your coaches as possible about that, and then coaches respectively. Also being able to be receptive and adjust training, because at the end of the day, you just want your athletes to perform their best. And that is going to always be part of the conversation. So it's something that you need to be really open about.
This is interesting because with women's football, you know, you've got a squad of, say, 30 people.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody's to go on the same, you know, structure of a football training session that day.
Yeah.
But 3 of those women could be on day 1 or day 2.
Yeah.
And doubled over in cramps, trying to push themselves through the pain. And it's like, but you have to listen to your own body. Like, when will it get to the point? Because you feel that that's key for you. Your success is be able to say, look, I'm on today. Yeah. We need to adjust.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, when will that become a normal conversation between football teams and coaches? Because ACL injuries are so prevalent just now in women's football.
Right.
You know? And they can't decide if it is down to the menstrual cycle or not. Nothing's proven, scientifically proven. But I do think a lot of it would come down to, like, managing that load and listening to your body.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, that might come with having more female coaches, female staff that are working with the athletes, not just kind of these male-dominated maybe environments. So hopefully that will come in the future. And, you know, getting a period is so important as part of staying injury-free in running. So it's a huge topic. So it's actually something that you really want to make sure that you're getting a period every month. So how can you make sure that you're fueling properly? How can you make sure that when you do get it, training's adjusted? Because yeah, we've got to be healthy, happy athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now we've had period chat. What are you doing for Christmas?
Christmas.
Do you still run at Christmas?
Yeah, I will do Christmas Day park run.
Oh, Georgia, you're putting us all to shame.
I know. But I will say, like, I don't do it particularly quick. It's more like a fun environment. Like, I only started doing it a couple of years ago, and everyone wears Christmas hats. Oh. Everyone's just in a good mood.
Anyone running with Prosecco?
Yeah. I think some of the staff might, but like all the volunteers who are amazing. But it is just a fun, I was like you, I was like, I'm not doing a run on Christmas Day, come on. But then now we've been doing it for the past few years and it's just a fun vibe. It's like an hour of the morning and then
why not?
Everyone does it. Like you see older people doing it, you see parents pushing buggies, you see kids, you see, adults, like everything. And it's just nice. It's a nice atmosphere. So yeah, I'll be doing it this year. And then afterwards we come back and that's when we can kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah, good for you. I mean, fair play to you, everything that you've achieved in 2024. You've changed your life. You've done that with the support of all your people. What advice would you give to anyone who is thinking of that career change next year and who needs that extra injection to believe in themselves?
I think it's all about, making decisions that are right for you, trying not to compare yourself to people, like what they're doing in their career or their job or their situation, like what makes you happy, what are you able to achieve on your own, and then really just making sure that you do the work alongside it to get there and get good supportive people around you, because that really makes a difference. So if you're a parent or a coach or a teacher or anything like that, you believing in someone can really go a long way to them believing in themselves.
Yeah. Well, whenever you're ready to go and like a bottomless brunch, give me a shout. I'm your gal, okay?
End of season, yeah.
And then you can inspire me to take my arse around the block for a run at some point. Have to do that in the new year. Georgia, thank you so much for coming in and for sharing your story. You've been wicked this year.
Thank you so much for having me.
Lovely. Thanks for coming in. Georgia Bell there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this year. It's been absolutely wonderful to be in the kickback. I do have good news. Rusha will also be back with us in the new year as she renews her contract. You know what she's like. She's a diva. Have a lovely Christmas. Be good. Remember, Santa's watching. Like and subscribe. And we'll see you in 2025. Bye.